Are we waiting on anybody else?
Nope, not that I'm aware of. We're good to go.
All right, Sheriff, first, who all do we have right here?
I'm Chris Ennis, the District Attorney for the 13th Circuit Court District.
And I'm Sheriff Darrell Perkins for Covington County.
Chief Deputy Ricky Lott, Covington County.
Awesome. So, first off, Sheriff, can you kind of walk us through what happened last night, how you guys were led to these two suspects?
Well, we got a sighting, possibly a sighting of the individuals. We also had a law enforcement officer that received a call from one of the landowners, homeowners, that he had spoke to earlier that day, and we got information they were probably under the house of a resident there off of Main Street.
Sheriff, do you mind if we back up and go from the very beginning on why these two were in pursuit anyway?
We can do that if y'all like, either way.
Yeah, if you please just start from the beginning on why they were pulled over in the first place.
Okay, yesterday about 14:30 hours, Deputy Rodney went to pull over a vehicle, a blue Saturn, made an attempt to. I think they ended up fleeing the location north of Mount Olive, there 149 and 49, and it pursued down 49 south into town. It turned off right in front of Cash Savers grocery store on a city street. Once it did, it turned into a gravel driveway, which there was a lot of debris in the area. It was real wet due to the rains. The individuals bogged down on the right side of the driveway. Deputy Rodney went to exit his vehicle. They tried to get out of the bog, which they realized they couldn't. He ended up getting the information from the driver or whatever, and that's when Deputy Riles pulled up behind him. And when they did, he was it's still in question of what took place at that time. The body cam footage was sort of distorted a little bit, gives a lot of fast reactions. So he ended up being shot, and Deputy Riles and him both returned shots to the suspects.
So when he was pulled over, the passenger got out of the vehicle and was laying down, right?
That's to our understanding, yes.
Okay. And then when he approached, then started shooting.
We're thinking the passenger done the shooting on the body cam footage, and the driver complied until it was all over, and he took off.
And then both of them?
Both of them fled on foot, yes. Went north in the wooded area.
What are the charges that these two brothers face now with this, and the possible penalties for what they're going to be charged?
Well, I just spoke with MBI before this started, and for the brother that we're looking at being the shooter, right now we're looking at 2 counts of attempted capital murder. Obviously there could be more charges coming, and right now on the brother that was driving, we're looking at felony fleeing and probably accessory after the fact to attempted capital murder.
Was there anything found in the car that would lead y'all to believe the reason why they ran in the first place?
You want to answer that?
There was, when the crime scene unit was processing the scene, they found a bag of some type that had several weapons in the bag. At this time, we don't, the crime scene units collected them. We don't know if they were stolen, if they were illegal. They will be processed, and all that will be determined at a later time. But we kind of feel like that probably part of the reason that they ran was that they had weapons.
Do we know anything about their criminal history, if they have one?
They have no adult criminal history. I think there were some juvenile offenses, but obviously those are sealed.
Can I ask you a question? Zakarian McGee, he was a suspect in the beginning in one of those blue alerts and was then cleared. Can you walk us through that and how he became a suspect or became the person on that blue alert?
So obviously, as y'all know, that there were several agencies, multiple agencies there. I cannot tell you how his name came up, but it came up as a lead, as a suspect, and he was mistakenly identified. If you look at his picture, they did resemble somewhat, but once investigator, he turned himself in to the McGee Police Department, and once investigators spoke with him, it was determined that he had no involvement whatsoever in it, and it was just a simple mistaken identity.
The passenger, Sheriff, I believe you said yesterday was in the back seat. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You mentioned that was a little bit unusual for a driver.
It was very odd. You know, usually if you got two people in a vehicle, they're both in the front seat. And in this case, he was sitting in the passenger back seat.
Do you suspect that there was another person involved?
We do not at this time, no.
Yesterday, you had mentioned that these two brothers were connected to the 17-year-old that was arrested last week for the murder of the two elderly couple. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, we both, Chief and I both spoke to his mother, and she identified that the suspects were her sons. Both of them were. You know, we do understand that is also the brother of the brothers of the individuals, the juvenile 17-year-old, the one that committed the heinous crime in Simpson County.
Has the mother been cooperative throughout this process?
Somewhat. You know, she was kind of cooperative on scene. She gave us the identifications to the brothers, gave us their phone numbers, and such as that. But you know, as a mother, she still wanted to be somewhat protective, but she was cooperative for the most part.
She's not facing any charges, is that right?
No, sir, not that I know at this time.
Okay.
Can you tell us how your deputy is doing today?
Well, I got an update about 15 minutes ago. My deputy, Corley, who's also our pastor here at the church, at the sheriff's office, he is stable. He is talking and is alert. He has pains in his upper body. Of course, they said his lower area of his heart was struck. His lungs were partially taken out. But as far as right now, he possibly has some spinal injury. How bad at this time, we don't know. The doctors are working with the other doctors about doing an MRI, but they got to take the projectile out before they do that. So that's a big determination from the doctors down in Hattiesburg, what they're going to do. So,
He did have his vest on,
he did.
and it was just hit.
Right at the edge of the vest. I mean, you know where the threading goes around the vest, that's where it went. I mean, another inch and it would have slowed the projectile down tremendously, we believe.
You mentioned in your press release that these two individuals, the Haas brothers, were apprehended at a home where they'd been staying for the past week.
That is correct.
And they were under the house. I heard that they came out from under the house and knocked on the door of the residence, and at that point, the resident called police. Is that accurate?
Actually, one of the U.S. Marshals made contact and cleared the house earlier that day, made a contact with the homeowner, and I think it was the individual's uncle.
Correct.
The uncle heard the noise under the ground after they had knocked on the door. He made contact with the U.S. Marshal. That's when we all went back over there to that one specific house where they set up a perimeter, and they attempted to call them out underneath the house. They refused, and they were sent dogs in underneath the house. And one of them was apprehended, and then the other one came out.
Sheriff, do you know when the last time there was a deputy involved shooting in your county was?
We were talking about that earlier. It was, don't ever remember of a deputy being shot in Covington County other than back probably 100 years ago. Yeah.
Can you talk to us real quick about how the community did help in your efforts to find these two?
The community was outstanding. People started checking their Ring door cameras. We actually had people videoing them out through their windows as they were crossing their yards. And I actually had video of the officers quickly behind them as the pursuit went on. That people were sharing the information on Facebook, social media, all social media platforms, and constantly calling our dispatch with tips and sightings and obviously who they thought they might be.
Y'all set up an extensive perimeter, Sheriff, and at one point y'all, I think, thought perhaps you had one of the suspects. It was an older man who fled his vehicle. Can you tell us what happened there?
To my understanding, the individual saw that the roadblock and the law enforcement officers, and he jumped out and tried to run, and they ended up catching him, and I think he was intoxicated at that point.
Sheriff, yesterday, or before we started talking today, you said that there was just so many law enforcement agencies out here that you couldn't even count them. What has that outpouring of support meant for you?
Well, when you have something like this, you're a big family and everything, and it was, we had state, local, federal, just everybody, DPS, we had ATF, FBI, U.S. Marshals. You can't begin to announce them all because there was so many sheriff's departments contacted me, our chief, and requested to send people, and I don't know, I guess there was probably 10 different sheriffs contacted us, probably 10 different locals, not counting the police departments and other agencies. It just means a lot that in a time like this, we stick together to try to do what is the right thing to do.
Incidents like this highlight the dangers of the job. Can you speak to the bravery that you guys make and the sacrifice you guys make every single day?
Well, I'm not going to say it's bravery. It's just determination. It's a willpower to try to do the right thing to serve your community. And Officer Rodney was no exception. He was a great deputy. And done an outstanding job here. Nothing but praise for him. He was just a wonderful guy.
How long had he been employed here?
Roughly 6 months.
Yeah, approximately 6 months.
A new officer here
Yes,
in Covington
yes.
County. Just to reiterate, I think this is for you, DA, that we'll see a judge tomorrow.
Yeah, they will be brought from Lamar County here tomorrow to have their initial appearance.
Can you tell me why they're in Lamar County?
Just, we don't house,
Still hold.
have them in an agency where, a crime was committed against one of their employees.
A couple questions, Sheriff. So there's a lot of speculation. People are saying there's more to this. People are thinking that these two brothers may have been involved in the Simpson County situation where the older couple were killed. Is there any connection that you know of at all, or is this just strictly a traffic stop that went wrong?
Well, I don't know any particulars about that. I don't want to speculate on that. It's a Simpson County case. The district attorney may know more information than I do about that, but at this time, there's no information, telling us that. So.
Can you let people know why they were transferred to Lamar County and not here locally at this jail?
Well, like the district attorney just said, you don't house them in a place where they have harmed one of your employees for their safety and, everyone's safety. It's just a precaution that we've always looked at to be the best cause.
Chief Sheriff, one last thing for me. I know, from the metro to the coast, I've seen so many chiefs, so many sheriffs say that young violence has become such a bigger issue. And these two, they're young, and the brother that's accused of killing the two in Simpson County, he's young too. Is this something that you're seeing in the city and the county here as well?
I seen Andy Gibson's interview the other day. He gave one out to the sheriffs, spoke to him. He was talking about juvenile violence, and his reaction was, we need to make stiffer juvenile laws. We need to revamp the juvenile system. And, I think most law enforcement agree with that. If you're charged with a heinous crime, you definitely need to pay the price, and even though you are a juvenile. We've had a lot of issues with juveniles in our county. And I'm sure the district attorney has had a lot of juvenile issues in the other 3 counties that he prosecutes in. It has become a problem,
Absolutely. It's a problem, not just in my 4 counties, it's a problem across the state. And we've got a problem in our juvenile justice system. And I think it's coming to light over the last 2 instances we've had in the last week. And, I'm with Commissioner Gibson that there's got to be some revamping on what we can do with juveniles that commit these kind of crimes. The adult system in my office, there's very limited circumstances that we get jurisdiction over a child. And just like with the elderly couple killed last week, we literally had to leave that scene, and I had to get a judge to meet me at the ER and have a hearing just so we could incarcerate that 17-year-old in an adult facility, even though he suspected and allegedly had murdered 2 people. But the hoops that we had to jump through dealing with juveniles is quite high.
Unless a juvenile commits a crime with a gun in the state of Mississippi, that would be an automatic adjudication to an adult, I guess.
We get under the Uniform Youth Court Act, we get jurisdiction of a minor on two instances. One is if they commit a crime that, if committed by an adult, carries the life in prison or the death penalty, then they're automatically circuit jurisdiction. Or if they commit a crime using obviously a firearm or what the statute describes as a deadly weapon, we get original jurisdiction. Short of that, they stay in youth court.
Do you see a shortage with juvenile detention centers? I've talked to some people in law enforcement, and one of the problems they identified to me is there's just a lot of times there's no place to put them, and they end up going back home on an ankle monitor or what have you to commit another crime. I mean, is the shortage of facilities to house potentially or violent juveniles a problem in the state of Mississippi?
Oh, absolutely. And when I was talking about the 17-year-old in the hearing we had to have, where the state of Mississippi is a signatory to a federal statute, and it's all about us receiving federal funds, and it dictates for us to get those federal funds how we have to treat juvenile offenders. And, just like the 17-year-old, he has to be housed out of sight and sound of the adult population. So the problem we have is facilities that we can put minors in that meet those criteria.
Can parents be held accountable in any way?
Not really, and I hear that all the time. Here we're dealing with a 17-year-old. These two brothers are 18 and 19, I believe. There's got to be some accountability on these children. All we can do is raise our children and try to guide them the right way. The problem I see we've got right now in my district and the juveniles committing crimes with firearms, and we've got a society problem with what we're dealing with here.
Many of these stolen firearms are often stolen out of people's unlocked vehicles.
Absolutely. And firearm violence by juveniles it's rampant in my district. I'm dealing with several cases in my 4 counties that the crimes are violent, and it's juveniles that we're dealing with.
You see a lot of the initial crimes with juveniles as being auto burglaries, and then they just kind of move up from there. Is that one of the more common crimes that juveniles tend to commit?
Yeah, that's what I've seen is if they steal, burglaries, and again, until they commit certain things that trigger circuit jurisdiction, they go through the youth court system.
I think one of my last questions, just for clarification, the 2 suspects were hiding under the home. They came out and knocked on the door?
That's our understanding, yes.
Okay. And so after they knocked on the door, homeowners called the police. Where did they go?
They went underneath the residence.
They went back under?
Yes.
Okay, heard. And so what kind of home was it?
It was a brick home that had a raised foundation, but you couldn't tell that it was a raised foundation because the brick go all the way down to the ground. Chief Lott was there at that location. He may describe it better.
From the road, it looks like just a house on a regular foundation, brick home, but there was a little access hole, scuttle hole that went under the house on the very back, very small, and then once you saw that, then you could see the ventilation on the bottom of the house, and we had to knock out some of the ventilation ports so we could see under the house and see light, and we could see the individuals under the house at that point in time.
Have y'all recovered the gun that was used in this shooting of Officer Rodney?
No, we have not at this time. I think with the consensus of MBI, I think possibly going to go back and look today during the daylight hours. But like Chief Lott said earlier, there was several weapons that was found near the car.
We did search under the house last night for any possible weapons, and none were found.
How long do you think they were under there? You think they were under there pretty much the whole time? I remember the alert came out on our phone. It said 300 Bluff Street was the last place they were seen, and they were found under it too.
You know, no way to determine that, you know. They could have been hiding in the woods area. They could have went north. We think they actually went further north, and they later apparently turned around and came back south. And that's because they had went past that location earlier on doorbell camera. So we know they went north, then they turned around and come back south to that residence.
Gotcha. But you think they knew the homeowners?
That was his relative, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I see. I'm sorry.
Is it everything, guys?
Do y'all have anything else? Is there anything else you guys want to say? Any word to the community just for
I do. I would like to say thank you to all the community, you know, Covington County, all the people that give tips. And I'd like to say thank you to all the law enforcement agencies that participated in the search and the apprehension of the two individuals. And yes, Mount Olive Volunteer Fire Department for allowing us to commandeer their fire department to make it a central command center. Yes. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Thank you,
Thank
Jenna.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I think we got one just showed up. You can.
Write down a couple of email addresses.
Sure, you can. Make sure I get your email. If you want to put it on the back of mine.
I'll do